Good morning. I will call to order the Board of Franklin County Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, March 4th.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Present.
Commissioner Howard,
Present.
Chair Waymeyer,
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson,
Present.
Commissioner Dunn.
Present.
If you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, remain standing for the invocation led by Pastor Leonard Chesbro of the New Life in Christ Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Gracious Father God, we thank you for another day you've given us, Lord. Lord God, you loved us so much, you gave your one and only Son for us so we could have life and have life more abundantly. Lord, I pray your blessings on each one's here today, Lord God. Just be with us and show us what you'd have us to say and what you'd have us to do. And we give you all the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment today? All right. Our consent agenda consists of claim vouchers in the amount of $1,033,132.59. Tax change orders in the amount of a negative $4,762.52. We have meeting minutes to approve from February 26th, and payroll in the amount of $1,212,502.09. Did I miss anything?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes. All right, our first item of business is to consider approving the countywide infection control and exposure plan. Midge, right on time.
Wow,
Very efficient.
I think I was gone that long.
Making that entrance, weren't you?
Huh?
Making that entrance, weren't you?
Want to be noticed? I thought Christy would be here this morning. Oh, you are?
Okay.
Okay. Christy's really the expert on this plan. We've worked together with HR and EMS and Health Department to put this together, and so I'm going to let her talk about it.
All right.
Okay. So in 1992, OSHA made a standard for anybody that has occupational exposure or part of their job could put them at risk of contacting a bloodborne or other disease. Kansas Department of Health and Environment shortly adopted a plan afterwards. Right now, there's not anything that is a cohesive unit for the whole county, so every entity is tasked with doing their own thing. We were challenged to make a plan for the whole county that would encompass everybody, so that is what we put together and prepared for that. The plan outlines training that's required, safeguards that are in place to keep you from getting sick, how to report if you are potentially exposed, and there's there's also forms that you can fill out for like flu shots, that sort of thing, that are in there too.
All right. And the plan is lengthy, but it's attached to our agenda, and we've had
It
time
is
to review
lengthy.
it.
You know, we're all thinking about it. I talked to somebody that was on the hospital board yesterday, and she said, you know, they had a report from the hospital also about the same thing, but,
Right.
and I think maybe the fact that we're Advent Health, that gives us a little bit more reach, more resources available, or not, yeah, that maybe we wouldn't have had before, so, anyway, everybody's thinking about it.
All right. Any questions? Okay. Well, the action request would be to make a motion for the Franklin County, to approve the Franklin County Infection Control and Exposure Plan to be effective April 1st.
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes. Well, thank you both for your work on this.
I was talking to my husband the other day, so, you know, schools are easy, you shut them down, but if you get this in like the jail,
So just to make a distinction, this plan is bloodborne pathogens only. and not coronavirus, influenza, or anything
Sure.
like that.
Okay.
During staff reports, let's talk about coronavirus.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Our second item of business is the Franklin County Rural Water District Number 1 is requesting a conditional approval to extend service into Douglas County.
So Tom Wilson is here. Come on up, Tom. And he was in my office earlier this week and discussed this process, and he came to talk with you guys about it today.
Good morning.
Good morning. We've found a section kind of the north of our current district that does not have rural water service, a stretch that goes into Douglas County where everybody's just on wells. And we've had interest from a couple of customers up that direction on wanting to get access to rural water up that direction, and it would be extending our district. So I think the steps to follow would be first to get you all's approval to extend our district, to include that area into our district. But since it is one into Douglas County, but then mostly because it's within 3 miles of Baldwin City, first I need to seek, we're kind of seeking conditional approval from you all. If you say it's a yay from you, then I can go to Baldwin City to see if they have any rules or regulations for subdivisions out within 3 miles. And if not, then we can go ahead and, with our line extension and extend our district north. So I guess first, today, we're looking for a conditional approval from you all to extend our district north.
Your water supply is plenty, right? It's not going to affect that at all?
Correct. We have more than enough supply in that area. Since we buy from 3 different suppliers, we have, and I can feed in that, especially in that area, I can feed any of the 3 suppliers to that area. So there should be never an instance where we would have a water outage.
Something that hasn't come up before, so I didn't realize you guys have to request to go outside of the county.
To extend our district,
Yeah.
it's a portion that is not currently in any other water district, but to extend our current district boundaries, we have to come to our residing county board to extend that.
Well, it makes a lot.
Our Water District Number 5 has a mutual agreement with part of Douglas County to get water from Clinton Lake if necessary.
Right.
How come number 5 isn't?
I don't know. I don't know why 5 hasn't. I don't know why Douglas County, 4 or 5, or Baldwin City. I don't know why anybody hasn't stretched out that way. It's kind of in a no man's land.
Is it east of Baldwin?
It is to the east of Baldwin. It's,
Okay.
yeah, it is, in Franklin County, it's Tennessee Road, and then when it hits county line, it turns into 1900 Road, clear up to 56.
So what would the route you would take to extend the main?
What's that?
What route would you take to extend the main?
We would come right up Tennessee Road, cross Douglas County, the county line, and just come straight up 1900 Road. We already have water right at the corner of Tennessee and, what is that, Tennessee and Thomas, I believe. Tennessee and Thomas, we already have a water line there. So we would just extend right up Tennessee, up 1900 Road.
Well, there's places where around Centropolis, where one of the Douglas County districts comes down and helps out some of our people, too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's not uncommon for
Yeah.
districts to cross county lines and whatnot.
It definitely makes more sense to extend a service when you have availability and the train allows, as opposed to
Right.
where a
Right,
visible line
there's some
happens to
places
be.
where if you just stuck to county limitations,
Yeah.
and the next water service may be miles away, versus if you're, there might be a water line from a different county right on the other side of the county line, so,
Sure, it helps your business to get more users, too.
absolutely.
There are water districts that don't have meters available. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's districts that are just plumb full, so, we're not at that point, so we're able to do this.
What's your water source? City
We
of Ottawa?
have water, we can get water from Wellsville, which is via Baldwin and Lawrence, so it comes from up at Clinton. And then we also get water from Miami County Rural Water 2 and from Ottawa. So we pull water from 3 different sources.
All right.
We're actually in works with Ottawa to kind of work out a emergency water plan where we'd be able to supply water to Ottawa if something were to happen to their water plant as well, since we have 2 other water sources. So,
What does the meter cost in your district right now?
for a premise, which would be the right to buy water and to set a meter, it's 5,000. We just raised that, right? Well, we're $5,000. Yeah, $5,000.
The people that are requesting this, are they gonna pay for the extending the main?
Our district is still debating that, if it's going to be customers, or if we're going to foot it, or if we're going to do a long-term payout on it. We're still deciding that.
Well, I think it's a good thing to provide rural water to wherever it's needed.
And when I went to get signatures for the petition, I explained to everybody that, signing the petition doesn't say that you are going to get water. It's that you are interested in there being a water line, so access to rural water. And there was a lot of positive feedback on having that access. Even if they were to use their wells still for their farm water or whatnot, having rural water to their house. So it'd be a nice thing to be able to provide.
And to be clear, just for anyone who's listening, this is no cost to Franklin County. And this is really a formality because the rural water district is located within Franklin County. So it's really a no-brainer for this board. It's being a good neighbor, frankly. So
Any questions about
As long as you're not
cost and all? Your business is just curiosity, really. It's your business. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just interested.
As long as this isn't going to fill up your meter, and so
No.
that if somebody in Franklin County goes, I want it, you go, sorry, we used them all up now.
No,
Yeah.
no, we are
Oh,
good.
You're all good then.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the conditional approval for Franklin County Rural Water District Number 1 to extend service beyond the district boundaries?
I'd like to make a motion, and it's just been a long thing with 20 years. I know we were very happy when we seen Douglas County moving down into the Centropolis area because nobody else could. So why should we deny, something that's, like I said, it's a no-brainer on the service, and that's what it's all about, is providing all the service we can, and the more rooftops and the more people moving in, and the more business for you guys, too.
Yeah.
That's why I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes?
Commissioner Dunn?
yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Chair Whitmire?
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
I have a copy and I'll get it signed for you.
All right, that brings us to staff reports.
yeah, I want to say one thing today. I've been down here 5 years, and in 5 years, I think I have worked with 8 different county commissioners. And I know probably as well, if not better than anyone, that your job is thankless. That oftentimes it's misunderstood what you are actually doing. But I will say that all 8 commissioners that I have worked for have done a fantastic job in that role. You guys do things for the right reasons. Like, it's clear to me that you care about the people that you serve. You're not out looking out for your friends, trying to take care of certain people. You are trying to make decisions every day for the benefit of the people of this county. I think it's rare you get compliments. I will tell you that my staff and I definitely appreciate that. I don't know that we say it enough, but we're about to start a budget process where you're going to have to make tough decisions. Just know that my staff and myself certainly appreciate all 5 of you and the work that you do, and think you're doing a great job. So that's all I have today.
Thank you. Paul?
I just have a couple of comments. I want to lift up Midge and the health department. They have done a great job of, they've worked with me and reached out to me. It was their initiative. I got information about coronavirus and all those concerns, and we were able to get stuff out, thanks to them, not me, to local industry to help give them information that they need for their employees and how to manage that situation. So I really want to compliment the health department. They've done a great job. I never even thought about it, to be honest, and so kudos to the health department. We are still moving forward. I mentioned the sawmill last week, I think. We're still moving forward. That still looks positive. There's some good developments taking place on that, and hopefully we'll have a celebration that it's a done deal at some point in time, but just to let you know, that's still on track. And as I indicated, I went to Wellsville City Commission and Williamsburg City Commission, and I've been working with those areas as well as the Ottawa City Commission. Happy to report that Wellsville is now a formal member of FCDC, and Williamsburg's been given the opportunity, and I expect them to join us too. So that's been nice to see those communities kind of partnering with us in that regard. So that's all I've got today.
Well, and I'm going to keep him up here. I hope that you all appreciate just the gravity of that. For most of my time down here, Wellsville wouldn't sniff FCDC. They didn't want anything to do with FCDC. FCDC didn't do a thing to make Wellsville want anything to do with them. Paul is doing a fantastic job. I do think Williamsburg will join as well. Like, the level of contact that we have with those communities is so far above anything that we have had, and I've often said that at the county, if we don't look out for those communities, nobody's going to. So it's been nice to have a partner in Paul, and he understands. I mean, we all understand that Ottawa's the economic driver of the community, and he's done a fantastic job of working inside the city as well. I mean, he's beloved inside the city of Ottawa. It's just nice to have someone who doesn't forget about, I mean, look at everything that's going on in Wellsville. To have some expertise and help guide them through that process is huge, and it's something that they've never had. So very happy with Paul, and certainly want to commend him for the job that he's done.
I can piggyback a little bit on that for Williamsburg. I know that before Paul came on board, Williamsburg was basically presented, they were not a member. It was presented to them. I was there when it was done. Basically, join, you're either with us or you're not. And when Paul came in, it hasn't been that. Paul's worked with them and showed them, wanted to work with them, wanted to help him, wanted to do things, and now they're interested in coming on board. It wasn't presented to them that either you're part of this or you're not. And so I just want to give kudos there too. So.
It's been a blast. I'm loving the job, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Good.
Been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Oh, Sheriff?
Commissioner Howard, I was at that meeting as well with the FCDC, and you're absolutely right on how that was presented. So that is a much different presentation and change that was much needed there. Commissioner Dickinson, your concerns and we've talked a little bit in the past as well about coronavirus. Again, the health department has done a good job sending those things out, but we also have a contract with Advanced Correctional Healthcare for the healthcare services in our facility. They've been all over this for a while. We have implemented, it's been several weeks now, maybe a couple months, that we had already implemented a new checklist and a protocol on all of our intakes in the jail, much like was done with SARS a few years ago. This isn't that, but it's kind of what we do, have different protocol in place. Our staff has been trained that when the nurse is not there, how to do the intake and the medical intake part on the initials for that. So we do address that, and you're right. If any type of outbreak would happen in the jail, it can be an issue because of the closed confined area there. The flu is another thing with that. We did offer flu shots to inmates this year, and the health department came out and did some of those, and then our contract service, I believe, provided some of those as well. So those are things that we have to consider and that we don't ignore. If we do have an outbreak with this current situation, I'm sure Midge has talked about it more, but there's a quarantine type thing that has to be in place. So working with other counties as far as who we would be able to farm out and who they would not be able to accept, that, because of the quarantine part, does create a unique situation for us. And so if we end up having that, then we'll be having a lot of meetings, and I'm sure I'll be blowing up Midge's phone with all those requests and advice on things.
Does the state have protocols as far as, because I mean, they have a large system and every county's feeding people into the prison system. Do they have a?
I have not received anything from them. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that, and assume that they do, but I have not. I'm not privy to any of that. But you're right. Right now, there are counties that are housing state inmates as well. So.
Well, I mean, you know, once you're sentenced, I mean, all 105 counties are in theory,
Yes.
feeding into one system.
It
I
does.
think infection
It does.
prevention
So,
control, and that would be.
I haven't received anything directly from them, so, and maybe Midge has, but that's kind of where we're at. Our inmate count as of this morning is at 68. We do still have a couple farmed out, but we are housing 68. And
Well, almost every other business, you can just shut down and say, stay home, but you can't just send everybody home.
yeah, it's
All
kind
they
of hard to
wish,
do the
but-
work for home thing for our corrections
Kinda
staff.
hard.
So you're correct. Thank you.
All right. Nick, you have anything?
Send 'em home.
It's going to be a conversation about coronavirus this morning. I just wanted to let you guys know we have been working with Midge, with the responders at the advisory board meeting for the communications center. We had long conversations about how we're going to pre-screen callers via dispatch. EMD, Emergency Medical Dispatch, has put out guidelines for questioning pre-arrival. So somebody calls in with respiratory problems, flu-like symptoms, there is a series of questions that dispatch will trigger to ask to alert responders for precautionary methods. So we've been working on how we're going to notify responders, what we're going to use for that. We've also been planning for resources. If we do end up having an outbreak, we have to go into the quarantine process, is what we're going to do and what resources we have. One of the big things I know Midge is working on along with us is public education on if you feel you've been exposed to it, what you need to do, how you need to report. Don't go to the mall and hang out for a while, that kind of stuff. So I know Midge is going to get into more of the meetings that we'll be having next week when she comes up and talks to you, but I did want to let you know on the 911 side what our plans are. We have training on Thursday with dispatchers to roll that policy out, so we will be pre-screening anybody that does have respiratory or flu-like symptoms. I'm not going to go into a lot of EMS and dispatch stuff because Monday I've got a lengthy conversation with you guys on our monthly reports. So, thank you.
Right.
Hey, Nick, I got a question for you on this infectious control and exposure deal we just got. It said there's no time to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation part of it anymore. Don't do mouth-to-mouth. Do you just do compressions and that's it?
That is, for lay responders, they've removed mouth-to-mouth altogether. It's pump on the chest, and what they basically say, hard, fast CPR. You want to be on the chest and keep blood flowing. As we've talked about throughout that, a lot of times when somebody goes in, heart stops beating, they have a reserve of oxygen in their lungs. So by putting more in there, we're really doing nothing. The important part is getting that circulating, and that's been shown over and over again. Somebody goes into surgery and they paralyze them. It may take them 5 minutes before they get good stuff going, oxygen stuff back in, and the oxygen saturations are still pretty high. Their heart's beating. So there's no need to do mouth-to-mouth anymore in the layperson CPR area. It's all hands-only CPR.
What about protocol for masks, whether to have a mask or not have a mask?
Are you talking for the coronavirus or at any point in time?
General.
Huh?
In general.
I will defer that to Midge because Midge has answered a lot of questions for me on the mask and what all that process is. So,
I should have asked it sooner.
or you can ask her. They got this infection control down there. And I will tell you, the infection control plan has been, just a little over 2 years in the making. And, Christie done a great job talking about it, but Midge and Christie both did a phenomenal job to get that out there, so we do have some kind of standardized process, which is needed, so. But on the mask, I'll let Midge answer that question for you.
Okay.
This is one of those topics now that I could talk for quite a while. I'll try to keep it short. The situation currently is, as you know, changing rapidly. So what I would have said 2 weeks ago is a little different from what I would say today. So today we have a situation where testing is still not widely available across the United States. That is probably my biggest concern. The other part of that is that we do have community-acquired coronavirus in Washington State, in California, in New York, in other places. Every local public health department that I have watched in this response has done all they can to quarantine, isolate, provide social distancing. Those are our tools that we can use in this situation without a vaccine available. So in Kansas right now, we do not have anybody under investigation as being ill. We do have individuals in Kansas that are being watched for under quarantine or under isolation to monitor the situation, okay? But we don't have any spread per se at this point. I don't expect that to last. We have enough individuals that travel in the United States and from our county, from our businesses for pleasure, that it's possible for that to come back to Franklin County. There's just no question of that. Because there is not screening or has not been screening for passengers coming back from some of the countries such as Italy, France, that do have a case, that allows it to come into the country without being able to track those individuals quickly. Now, public health's goal is to, or one of our functions is to investigate and track individuals who have potential exposure, and then to control from that point on. But if we aren't aware that they came back, then that becomes a problem. So one of the important things is that people do notify us and be upfront about their travel, so that we can plan ahead, or if they're calling PSAP, or if they're calling their medical provider. So those things are important. We have a meeting Monday, as Nick alluded, that for the Emergency Support Function 8. That is a review and planning meeting to discuss how partners work together. One of the things that we'll be talking about is quarantine and isolation, and how those laws apply in Kansas, and what we can and cannot do, and the enforcement procedures for that. We have also, as they mentioned, been working with various groups, schools, businesses, nursing homes. We have meetings to discuss their actions. So right now, what we know about coronavirus is that 80% of it approximately is very mild. So that means people can get it and they may not know it because it may be so mild. It afflicts seriously the population most at risk for serious illness, as I'm sure you've heard, is those with underlying health conditions and those who are older. And so hence nursing homes and those situations are some of our biggest concern in that. So our goal is, of course, to protect the health of those at risk with our processes. So I can't say enough about all the individuals that have been working with us to prepare for this. And we have been recommending that people look at their continuity of operations plans. So some of the more, as we learn more about this particular virus, we're finding it perhaps is greater mortality than what influenza is, and that's fairly significant. That said, at this point in time, even with 85,000 people infected, we're talking about billions of people in the world. So we have to, so it's, you know, for public health and for me, it's like, where's the balance between being alert, being aware, taking precautions, and not going overboard and being afraid, because fear just causes us to make poor decisions. So that's what we're trying to do, is balance that education information that we're providing. To answer the question about masks, it is not recommended that the general public use a mask. They are not designed for that purpose, nor are they effective. So coronavirus, like many other viruses, is transferred by droplets. That means close association for several minutes. So if you're walking down the street and somebody sneezes, that doesn't mean you're going to catch the disease. It doesn't live very long on hard surfaces. The people that are most at risk are medical professionals, because they're in close contact for a period of time and in a highly infectious situation. So when someone is hospitalized or in a nursing home like in Washington State where we have that outbreak, you know, that's highly infectious environment. That's where the risk is, the greatest risk is. So masks are not recommended except for healthcare personnel, or when we have an individual who has to be in a public setting that is sick. And then we would put a surgical mask on. Responders, first responders, healthcare personnel should use N95s. Those are specifically designed to filter viruses, prevent viruses from entering, to keep you from getting sick. Surgical masks are the other way around. They keep the virus with you. I don't know how to say that. So, and you may have heard too that masks are short. There's a shortage, and part of it is because of people buying them up for general use. The other thing that's starting to show up is shortages on hand sanitizers, and you may have seen that there are companies that are taking advantage of the situation. What I see on the news the other night, somebody charged $149 for a bottle of hand sanitizer. That is ridiculous. So that's a real concern, and the economic effects of all of this can be significant. As we work with partners during this event, we as a community have to decide how far we want to go and what isolation, quarantine, and social distancing measures we may choose to take as a community, because that really requires community agreement to enforce those things. And so that'll be one of the things that we're discussing, is how far can we go? What can we do to limit social gatherings? You mentioned schools. Schools can close, and schools do close. We want as little disruption as possible. And so if it's to be, what you may have seen is it's proactive. They had one case, they close the school, they clean it, they make sure that person is out of the school, and then you can start to reopen, or you have alternative plans to educate the children outside of the school building. If the outbreak gets to a situation where we have 20% of the kids out, you've already got spread. And at that point, it may or may not be it's not very effective at that point to close a school. So those are the type of considerations we have to do, and I probably already talked too long, but we do appreciate everybody's help with managing this situation. So
I think if nothing else, it shows that you really are prepared. You really have been. You know, it's not going to just hit us and we're going to be caught unawares.
Well, we certainly don't want to be caught unawares. Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we are trying our best to get that information out.
It's a virus, so it's contagious like the flu. Do you expect seasonally it'll, as it gets warmer and people are outside and the air's less conducive for?
A week ago, I was really pleased to see that in China, the rise in the level of cases stopped. And since that time, it has leveled off. That is a really good sign. So most viruses do just that. They come and go. This virus, it is hard to say because it's just too new and we don't know. I think that's entirely possible. The biggest thing is the separation of people to slow the spread.
Well, will you get some test kits here for that virus?
So the state has the test kits. It is one of the stumbling blocks that the United States has had. They have broadened the guidance for who can be tested. So they've broadened the guidance to include individuals without travel and without known association to someone who is ill, an individual that has been shown to not be affected by influenza or some of the other common diseases. Does that make sense? So now we can test them. Up until this week, we were not allowed to test them because there weren't tests available. So they broadened that classification. So that's good. But at this point, those tests still have to go to the state lab. State lab is not overfunded. The state lab will be under stress, as will many healthcare facilities. There's just no question.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
David?
All right, so we've had a string of good weather days, which has allowed us to start making some improvements on our roads. A few of the things that we've done in the last week, we've hauled rock to 6 of our 9 blade districts, removed material from ditches on Jackson Road west of Florida, repaired a couple of field entrances and cleaned the adjacent ditches on Louisiana Road north of Shawnee and Florida south of Pawnee. We repaired a washed-out crossroad tube near the entrance to Camp Chippewa that was causing us trouble, and installed a new entrance an entrance into the new quarry on Ellis Terrace, right there close to where Southern Stars got their laydown yard. And today, after hauling material to the site yesterday, we're going to hopefully fix the back slope on a new ditch along Montana between Kingman and Labette. There was, before grass got established on there, it flooded multiple times last year and kind of washed out these areas, and so we've been working with the landowner to make that happen. So today we're out there taking care of that. Also today our contractor's going to finally begin repairs on the wing walls to the small structure on Finney west of Kentucky. If you recall, 3 of the wing walls have come apart, and we've got a contractor that's going to rebuild those. And along with that, there's some drainage issues. We're gonna shore up some of the creek banks right adjacent to the road to help with erosion. And then also yesterday we were able to reopen Eisenhower Road south of Douglas. We had an issue with probably a 1920s era small box culvert, a concrete issue, and we went in and repaired that. So it's open to traffic, and we'll keep an eye on it in case we have future issues like that. Also, this week, Larry and I met with John Horn, the former mayor of Williamsburg. He is still helping with the sawmill project, and Larry and I visited with him about some access issues and some of those things that they're trying to work through that. So we're trying to be a resource to them on that project. And I also had the mayor of Richmond stop in and visit with me for a little while about some issues that they're having and asking for us to help out a little bit there. So we'll continue to work through those issues. And finally, this afternoon I'll be participating in a regional solid waste meeting. It'd be an opportunity for me for us really to expand our network of contacts in the solid waste field and kind of learn a little bit how other communities handle issues related to solid waste, which includes everything from landfills and transfer stations to recycling. So it'll be a good opportunity for me to meet some new people and kind of expand our base of knowledge. That's all I've got.
Great, thank you. Janet, anything?
Just 2 things. The first thing is we had the first meeting of the election committee last Thursday night, and went really well. We had positive feedback. Don and Roy, of course, attended that meeting along with 10 other people from the community. And so we're going to be moving forward with that. We'll have another meeting next week where we'll have some roundtable discussions and discuss their feedback from that first meeting. The other thing is Casey asked me to let everyone know that the Storm Spotter training is tonight at 7 p.m. at OMA. So if anyone's interested in attending that, that's happening.
Right.
Want to update them on the modifications to the budget schedule?
Yep, sorry. So we have received all of the community partner funding packets, and Derek and I are working on the schedule. Just because of some conflicts, this coming week is many people's spring break, and then Ottawa's spring break is the following week. We had some conflicts there, and so we've decided to move the community partners back from the 9th, which was when we were planning to do it originally, which is this coming Monday, to the 23rd. I have notified all the community partners. The only one I haven't been able to speak with and let her know is Sharon Geis, but I'm gonna be.
She's on vacation.
Right, I'm gonna be making some extended efforts I have left her a message, so hopefully she'll see that, but I am gonna call her dispatch center today, so whoever, I assume they know who's.
I talked to her. I think she had a conflict with the original date anyway, so.
She did, and
So-
she was the first one to address that with me, and then we had some other things, so it just made sense. When we're not on a crunch, we give ourselves plenty of time in the budget timeline. We've had Derek and I have had a calendar working for a while now, and so it just made sense to change this, so.
Sharon had asked Kathy Duderstadt to come present on behalf of Services for the Elderly. I actually spoke with her yesterday, so she is aware that we're not doing this on Monday. She's going to convey that to Sharon, and because of the conversations we've had about the East Central Kansas Area Agency on Aging and Services for the Elderly, I am actually going to be working with Elizabeth, Sharon, and Kathy in the next week and a half on how we want that presentation to look. So they're well aware that we've bumped this back a couple weeks.
All right.
I do have your packets ready in my office, but I was just waiting for Derek to have those conversations and see where that goes in case they want to provide any additional information due to the Meals on Wheels program and stuff. Because Sharon just provided what she generally provides to you guys, so there may be some additional information that we need to get in that packet to you guys. That's why I didn't bring it today, but I do have those ready to go on my desk, and so we'll get those to you as soon as we're sure that all the information is correct to the best of our ability in there, so.
Good deal. All right. Commissioners' comments, board reports. We'll start down.
Yeah, I'll go off of what Janet said. It was a very good meeting. She presented a lot of good information. I've been around 20 years. And give me some information that I didn't know unless you're out there at every site. You know, so I know where all these sites are, but I didn't know the details about these sites. And she gave a lot of good information and illustration, the pros, the cons, and you know, give everybody on there. We had to all have our first week. I handed mine in, kind of a deal, what we thought of the first, what we wanted to see, what we thought about each part. And so she's going to do that probably 3 times anyway, and give a long presentation there with a lot of good questions in it. And so I think it's going to be a good deal doing it that way. Plus that she brought in several other counties of our size and give a lot of details on what they do, what they offer, what they have, and that's good to be able to not reinvent the wheel.
I tried to keep it to an hour and a half, and I could not cut off the questions.
No, we
Everybody
could've
kept
kept going.
asking questions, and I'm like, I said an hour and a half, so if you need to leave, we're at an hour and a half. If you need to ask more questions, stay, but
Nobody slept. It was all. I did go to the Wellsville City meeting the other night. As you know, Mr. Laswell stepped down as councilman up there only because of moving 100 yards outside the city limits. But they put in Natalie Patton, a lady up there, a long-time resident, and she'll be sworn in at their next meeting. Paul Bean was there, give a very good presentation, receptive very well, I think. And I think the community is very happy to have somebody like taking that kind of an interest in them and what they're doing. And Barbara Anderson was there from the Commerce Department, represents Southeast Kansas. And I know she'd been working with several of the smaller communities and meeting with them. And the Commerce Department, under the new governor, revamped some of the old programs that were going away. Main Street programs, one of them. Pride program's another one. And helping a few of the groups in the different towns I'm in. I know they've been to the others, trying to instill that back into those communities. They did get a new police car up there. They had one, I don't know exactly how it all happened, but I know the insurance company told about the police car here up there about a while back and got a new one. I ordered a new one. And Paul didn't mention, but his deal out at the Walmart, I think, was a very good first step. Nobody got a lot of real education, but a lot of the people got to see each other, got their firsthand feelings of whether they wanted to talk more. And that's the whole thing. If you don't want to talk more, you kind of lost your grip in the beginning. But I got the feeling from the whole room that they wanted to continue conversation and see where they can take it. I know American Eagle, I believe, is doing the next one. And so I'll leave it at that. The other people might want to talk on that one. Rantoul went down there. They just talked about a lot of water line issues and drainage issues. Their water tower, they're going to be getting ready to revamp it, and they'll run off of Rural Water 6 completely while they're doing it. So they'll continue their service with no problems. They just have to purchase all the water from Rural Water 6. But that's good that you have a backup, just like the gentleman back here was talking. I think that's pretty well it.
Since last meeting.
Diane?
Last Thursday, I did go to the FCDC luncheon, which was a good thing because, we have a lot of talk about Proximity Park, but our current industry partners are as important or more important than the ones that we'll be bringing in. So there was some new faces that I had not had a chance to visit with before, so I look forward to those. Then on Thursday afternoon, I represented the county at the Leadership Government Forum, the new leadership Franklin County, which was fun. Those are good people, and several people from our county that are part of that leadership class. On Friday morning, I went to the Chamber Coffee at OU for American Dining Creations, and they provide the services for OU, but also, and you don't think about this, but their services are also available for catering for any business or any size, or they can go outside, so that's kind of what they were promoting. On Monday afternoon, I went to the Food Policy Council meeting. In February, they served 70 families, about 120 individuals. And there's more talking about how you can get maybe vegetables and fruit out into the communities that no longer have a supermarket or that availability. Just to keep it foremost, having availability of fresh fruit and vegetables. On Monday evening, I went to the Princeton Council. It was kind of a lengthy meeting, several items on the agenda. One of them is they're going to have a fundraiser on the 28th, the Texas Hold'em tournament, which will be kind of fun. They're going to try it out and just see how that goes. And then on April 4th, if you're hungry, biscuits and gravy breakfast, which they have every so often. They've had a lot of contact with these people from the pipeline that have used their building and have been in and out of the community. So it's actually been good for their community. Central Heights is having a community service day on March 12th. They're going to put some of them to work. They talked about the community cleanup day and what is available to them. They're still working on that playground there. They have the new equipment in, but they have a lot of old equipment that needs to be put up. Also, they are wanting to put in a new basketball goal court, so there was talk of that, and that's probably most of that. And then the last thing I wanted to say was a big thank you to Mother Nature, who has chosen to maybe not be as rough on us this winter. I am 100% going to believe that the groundhog was right and that we're almost into spring. I was on Rock Creek Road over the weekend. The difference between Rock Creek Road this year and last year is like night and day. as far as, I've not heard David Lee say the word frost boil, or had anybody call and say, I can't get into my house because my road is, impassable. So I'm just saying, thank you, Mother Nature, and if you can just give us nice soaking rains in the spring and not 7-inch delugers, that would be awesome also.
All right, Mr. Dunn?
Went to the Janus Voter conference there last week, and it was amazing to me. There was no perfect place to vote. Even in all the places in the city of Ottawa had something wrong with them. So that was one thing that amazed me. But it was a good discussion on all the pros and cons of each polling place, and I had the percentage of how many people voted in the last several elections and that sort of thing. So I think it'll give a good indication for Janet information on where to go in the next elections when she gets her new voting machines and how many to get. I think we'll have a good consensus on kind of numbers at that time. So it was a good presentation. Went by Pomona High School there the other day, and their bond issue that passed called renovation of their football field and other facilities there at the high school, and looks like they're making pretty good progress on the facilities there at Pomona. That's it.
All right. I attended the FCDC meeting. Looked like Paul gave you an update, so I won't waste your time and repeat what he said. Since our last meeting, I was appointed to the Elizabeth Layton Center Board. Was nominated by an ex-Dean member. Had a full application to fill out.
Okay.
With a kind of essay, and was interviewed by their nominated their committee and then voted on by the full board. So it was quite a process, but I'm happy to be on that board.
Yeah.
I think we all know how important the services that they provide are. I think it's important to note, I'm on there as an individual, not as a county representative, so if you all kick me off, I'm still on there. Yeah, I think we all know how important that is, but I mean, when you really think about it, I don't know if you can remember the hierarchy of needs you learn about when you're young, that pyramid, really mental health's at the bottom. You can't enjoy any of the other or be successful really at any of the other. You're not, things that in life, if you feel like you're not safe, if you feel like you're in crisis, if your mental health needs aren't met, you're probably not gonna be healthy. You're not gonna probably be productive. You're gonna more than likely have some trouble with the law, things like that. I mean, so it is kind of one of the very important things that we participate in. So happy to be on that board. Looks like we have a study session planned Monday. I'll talk with Derek. I don't know, you want to make a decision on that Friday, just in case anything comes up?
We can. Nick indicated today that he would like to come in and give his reports, so.
Okay.
Doesn't he usually do that on a regular session day?
Yeah, I mean, and that is something Nick can absolutely do on a Wednesday. To my knowledge, that will be the only thing on the study session agenda, so.
Community partners being moved, that kind of left a big hole.
It did, and so I can promise you, Nick's not gonna have a problem coming in Wednesday if you would rather just.
Well, Friday at the latest, we'll make a decision on that, so everybody
Okay.
can. Now, Midge sent out the reminders for these meetings. I got one for Monday and Tuesday. Which day is it?
It's Monday.
It is Monday, okay. I got a reminder for both days for some reason, so.
Yeah.
That's at 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
If anybody else, I won't be here the week of spring break. I just want to make sure so we know. Anybody else gonna be
which
gone
spring
that
break
week?
week?
16th to the 20th.
Okay, all right.
16th to the 20th. I meant to say something last week and I forgot. Just in case there's other people gonna be
Yeah.
gone. If I'm the only one gone, no big deal. But I will be gone that week.
Are you all going to the same place again this year?
No. I will later on, but not that
Uh,
frequently.
I don't know, probably
I
not.
never saw him while we were there.
I know, we talked on the phone.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Is there a second? Come on.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.